Hi, Dr. Tracy Tyson. I'm a pediatrician in Vermont, and I wanted to talk about back to school preparation for children. This is the best or worst time of year for parents, depending on how you want to take a look at it, but there's some things you can do to set your child up for a healthy school year. The first thing is to focus on their sleep. We know for a fact that children in the United States are not getting enough sleep, and this impacts their overall health, their ability to learn, their behaviors, everything. So at least 2 weeks prior to school starting, we want to start focusing on getting that bedtime routine really solidified if it has gotten off kilter during the summer. We recommend a very specific routine so the child's brain is allowed to calm down in a controlled manner and the child knows what's coming up. So children really love structure and routine. This can look different for every family. You can do it however it works best for you, but some examples might be after dinner, having some outside time so that the child can really get out some of that energy. We also know that sunlight and being outside can help regulate our circadian rhythms. Coming inside, taking a bath, brushing their teeth, having some wind down time with, calming games with the family, puzzles, reading books, calming music, and slowly allowing the child to move into going to sleep. Working on the child falling asleep on their own can also be really helpful. Children can sometimes get really needy with sleep routines when they're feeling anxious, and so back to school times are definitely a time when that can be helpful. We can do another talk about helping your child fall asleep on their own, but that's something that can be working well for you. So making sure that your child gets at least 10 to 12 hours a night of sleep, which I think most children are not getting, but this goes all the way into teenagers. So as much sleep as humanly possible so the child can wake up and have the best healthy day they can. Another thing to focus on is nutrition. We should always be focused on our children's nutrition, but we know for a fact that when they're really busy, sometimes they're not eating all of the basic food groups. So making sure that there's enough protein in the diet. Fiber is really often overlooked. We need to focus a lot more on fiber in our children, and that can be fruits and vegetables, whole grains, any nuts and seeds and beans can be really good sources of fiber in children. So pick the things that they like to eat and try to add that into every meal. Healthy fats are also something that can kind of regulate blood sugar throughout the day so that the children are not having crashes from sugar. So focusing on a breakfast, if they eat breakfast at home, that has healthy proteins, fats, and fiber, as well as complex carbohydrates. And complex carbohydrates are things that don't give you just quick energy, but they can give you more lasting energy. And that would be things like potatoes, rice, whole wheat breads, things that can give a little bit more energy throughout the day. So focusing on a healthy breakfast, if your child eats school lunch, looking into what the options are and maybe helping the child make some decisions prior to getting to school about what they might eat. If you pack your child's lunch, same thing, focusing on what will they eat, what is easy to eat in an environment where there's so much going on, knowing your child and offering several different options, and trying to avoid simple sugars throughout the day because of course the children are going to go straight to those. They get some instant energy from it, but then they often crash and have trouble focusing or their behavior can be worse. If your child eats lunch at school, looking at what the options are at school, if your child gets choices, maybe talking to them before school that morning on what could be some choices of what they pick. If it is already decided upon them, maybe even working with your local school and talking about what healthy options are available for children. Afternoon snacks are a really big one. Assume that maybe your child hasn't eaten very well throughout the day. It can be really distracting to sit in a big cafeteria for some kids. So I often think of an afternoon snack as really a second lunch. Instead of offering things like just goldfish or chips or cookies, really looking into like, do they need to eat a half a sandwich? Do they need to eat something that has a little bit more substance in it when they get home in the afternoon from school? Apples and peanut butter, cheese sticks. I had a nutritionist mom teach me about the little charcuterie snack boards for kids, putting lots of different options on there, bringing that out and letting the child kind of pick and graze off of that in the afternoon can also be really helpful as well. Obviously, family dinner time is so important for children. There are so many studies that talk about the more we eat together, the better our children's eating habits are, the more likely they are to eat a healthy variety of food and have better intuitive eating as they get older, as well as it helps the child calm down from the day. It helps them connect with their parents. It's a good time to find out how your children are doing. So I can't emphasize enough how much family dinner is important. We still do them. My kids are 19 and 16, and it's the best part of my day, and I think they would probably say the same. The other thing to teach your child about is hand washing. There's so many germs, all the kids get together, and anytime you get a bunch of children the same age together, they're going to get sick more often. 7 to 12 viral illnesses a year is normal for children. That's a lot. And so they are sick a lot, and this is really frustrating for parents and children and schools. So teaching your child to wash their hands as much as possible can be really helpful, especially after going to the bathroom and before eating. Hand sanitizer is usually available, and certainly I use hand sanitizer all day, but we know that actually washing our hands with soap and water is better. So either one of those options, and teaching them to constantly wash their hands, keeping their hands out of their mouth. If your child is sick and they have a fever, they have runny nose or congestion, especially children under high school, they should stay home. We want to do our best to not spread infections at schools, which are little super spreader events. It allows the children to be able to be at school as much as possible. If you have any questions about what are reasons to keep your child home, we could absolutely talk about that as well. But talking to your school is another good option about what are their policies with which children can come to school. But certainly fever, new onset cough or congestion, specific rashes, vomiting and diarrhea are things really children should be kept home. And staying home in the beginning can decrease the risk of everyone getting it, which then is also going to help your child get sick less often. Other things is allowing your child some downtime in the afternoon when they get home. Children, especially early elementary age, they have kept everything in all day, and they've sat in circle time, and they've followed directions, and there's been sensory overload. And I do get a lot of parents asking me why their behavior is so difficult when they get home. And that's just because children have kept it all in, and then it has to come out in some way. So rather than fighting that, allowing space for that to occur. So, offering a snack pretty quickly after getting them, and then either going to play outside where they can kind of decompensate that way, or decompress, not decompensate, either allowing them to decompress that way, or maybe they need some alone time in their room. Maybe they're a child that still needs a nap and they're not getting that during the day. So allowing the kid the space to have a difficult day. If you're a working family and your children don't get home until after you get off of work after 5 o'clock, there's still an opportunity for that. They're kind of crying and they're whiny and they're struggling. Rather than going straight into your evening, sometimes taking 5 or 10 minutes to kind of take a little break and say, let's reset the evening, can make your evening so much better, because we as parents have a lot to do when we get home in the evenings, and trying to just build in some time to either spend some one-on-one time with your child or allow them some one-on-one time can be really helpful. So I hope this helps, and please talk to your pediatricians about how to keep your kid healthy during the school year, and we'll talk more specifically about some of these things in the future. Take care, and good luck back to school.